very good evening to you. You're watching Primetime News on News First. I'm Chaturanga Hapwarachi. Before we head into the stories in detail, let's first take a look at the headlines.
46th UNHRC session set to commence tomorrow. Resolutions against Sri Lanka being formulated.
වැරදි තොරතුරු මත මහා කොමසාරිස්තුමිය ශ්‍රී ලංකාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් පැරතිබෙන නිර්දේශයන් ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමට එරෙහිව අපේ මිත්‍ර රටවල් සමග අපි මේ වෙන විටත් කටයුතු කරමින් උදානම් වෙලා සිටිනවා.
Presidential committee appointed to study the report on the April 21st attacks illegal. Allegations from the Samagi Janabalawegaya.
මේක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම නීති විරෝධී ක්‍රියාවක්. මොකද ජනාධිපති කොමිසමක සාක්ෂි පදනම් කරගෙන නීතිපතිවරයාට නඩු දාන්න පුළුවන්.
Plans afoot to deforest Rumasala and construct a roadway. Minister of Environment calls for a report on the matter. Will not betray the struggle to protect Rambakannoya. A vow from the leader of the indigenous community.
Let's now head into those stories in detail with our sign language interpreter, Brian De Cruz. The 46th UN Human Rights Council sessions will get underway in Geneva tomorrow. Reports suggest that the UN core group is expected to hand over a resolution against Sri Lanka to the Human Rights Council Secretariat tomorrow.
The resolution against Sri Lanka is being finalized by the UN core group on Sri Lanka that comprises the United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, Montenegro, North Macedonia and Malawi. The mandatory cremation policy of individuals who die of COVID-19 against the practices of minority communities is among the highlights in the resolution. It has also stressed the importance of a comprehensive accountability process for all violations and abuses of human rights committed in Sri Lanka. Further, the resolution has called for the monitoring of Sri Lanka's implementation of its 20th Amendment while stressing the importance of democratic governance. The government has also been encouraged to respect local governance, including holding elections for provincial councils and ensuring their operations under the 13th Amendment. Meanwhile, Foreign Relations Minister Dinesh Gunawardena is set to address the 46th UNHRC sessions via video conferencing technology on Tuesday. A committee appointed by the government under the foreign minister's leadership will be among the Sri Lankan delegation that will attend the sittings online. The committee comprises State Minister of International Cooperation, Taraka Balasurya, Education Minister Professor G.L. Piris, Labour Minister Nimal Siripala De Silva, Minister of Energy Udega Mampila and Public Security Minister Sarath Veerasekara. A dialogue on the report of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights in Sri Lanka will take place during the 46th UNHRC sessions on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time.
ජනීවා මානව හිමිකම් සමුළුවට පෙර ආතුව සිට සූදානම්.
We have made the necessary arrangements before the United Nations Human Rights Council sessions. We have sent a written response to the UN High Commissioner's report. Together with our friendly nations, we have taken the necessary steps to oppose the UN High Commissioner's recommendations on Sri Lanka that have been made under baseless grounds using false statistics and data.
කටයුතු කරමින් උදානම් වෙලා සිටිනවා.
Sri Lanka's diplomatic ties have fallen under the spotlight as it is expected to face a resolution at the upcoming 46th UNHRC sessions in Geneva beginning tomorrow. Against such a backdrop, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan is due to arrive in the country on the 23rd of February for a two-day official visit. During his stay in the country, the Pakistani Prime Minister is expected to hold talks covering several matters, including trade and investment, health and education, agriculture and science, and technology, defense and security, and culture and tourism. He is also expected to sign several MOUs with Sri Lanka. A parliamentary address expected to be delivered by the Pakistani Prime Minister had been cancelled due to COVID-19 concerns in the country. Foreign media reported that India and the Maldives had signed a $50 million defense agreement today. The agreement comes as Sri Lanka attempts to consolidate its power in the region. Media reports suggest that the pact had been inked by Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Maldivian Defence Minister Maria Didi. This was during the Indian External Minister's visit to the Maldives. During the occasion, the Indian External Affairs Minister had pointed out that the Maldives has always been a reliable partner of India.
India has always been vying for the Trincomalee harbour. Recently, Uday Gammampila had said Sri Lanka would reacquire the Trincomalee oil tank farm. It is wrong to say that because we are the rightful owners of that entity. The Indian High Commission denied that discussions had taken place on this matter. Mahinda is considered to be an individual who is more patriotic than the minister. But when journalists raised questions, he brushed off the remarks made by Gammampila, calling them foolish. Now, Gammampila is claiming that his comments had been distorted. The government is trying to grab the resources that they have been unable to reclaim lawfully. India does not actively manage the oil storage tanks. It is the land that is of utmost importance as it is located near the harbour. Just as the land near the Colombo port is important to China, Trincomalee's lands are important to India. They are also seeking a jetty in Talemana. India wants 5 resources in the country. That includes the Colombo port, Trincomalee harbour, the oil tank farm, and the Kankasanture harbour, the Mattala airport, and the Talemana jetty.
කංකසන්තුරේ වරායක් දෙනවනම් මත්තල ගුවන්තොට බලක් දෙන්නයි කියලා ප්‍රසන්න රන්දුක කියනවනම් මේව තමයි ඉන්දියාවට ඕනේ.
රට වේගෙන් විදේශකරණයකට ලක් වෙනවා.
The country is being taken over by foreign entities rapidly. It is some sort of foreign conquest. China, India, America and Japan, all of the countries are eyeing us. The Portuguese took over the Colombo port in 1505 after attacking us. At present, the US dollar is the weapon. Vanilatto and the environmentalists have taken to the streets.
මේකේ සම්පත් කොල්ල කනවා. ඔන්න එතකොට වන්නේ
A discourse on reacquiring the Trincomalee oil tank farm from India has arisen following remarks made to that effect by Minister Uday Gammampila recently. Today, petroleum trade unions raised concerns that Sri Lanka is at risk of losing the Trincomalee harbour that is in close proximity to the oil tank farm. That is due to a proposed joint venture to develop the Trincomalee oil tank farm.
India to build petroleum hub in Trinco. බලන්න මොකද්ද මේ කියන්නේ සභාපති සුමිත් විජේසිංහ.
This news item says that India is to build a petroleum hub in Trinco. What does CPC chairman Sumit Vijayasinghe say? 100 out of the 500 acres of land belonging to Trincomalee harbour will be utilized to construct 24 tanks under 3 phases at a cost of 10.2 billion. Under this project, they are trying to construct 24 oil tanks, the storage facility and its related structures at a cost of 10 billion. This would mean that we would lose the Trincomalee harbour. He says that this facility would be constructed under a joint venture involving the Sri Lanka Ports Authority and the Lanka Indian Oil Corporation, who vested massive powers with the government. Did they discuss this in cabinet?
කවුද මෙවැනි බලයක් මේ ආණ්ඩුවට දුන්නේ? කැබිනට් එකේ මේක සාකච්ඡා කරාද?
Newsfirst made inquiries on these accusations from Sumit Vijayasinghe, who serves as the chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. We hope to construct and develop an oil storage facility near the Trincomalee harbour. We have identified it as the South Asian Petroleum Hub. The primary objective of this project is to allow oil suppliers to store oil at the facility. As the first phase of the project, we have identified land required for these moves. We have also devised the development plan for this entity. We have only commenced a feasibility study on the project at present. We expect it to be completed in about 3 months. We have held talks with the Ports Authority on the first phase of the project and entered into an agreement with them to commence construction on 100 acres of land.
වරායත් එක අපි දැන් එකතාවක් හදාගෙන තියෙනවා. අක්කර 100කින් මෙම ව්‍යාපෘති ආරම්භ කරා.
Meanwhile, a team of officials, including the Indian Consul General in Jaffna, visited the Ram Setu or Adams Bridge, located off the northwestern coast of Sri Lanka yesterday. According to the Indian Consul General, the officials had engaged in religious observances at the bridge and had visited the Kurikkaduwan jetty afterwards. On its official Facebook page, the Indian Consulate General in Jaffna described the occasion as a private visit involving consulate officials and their family members.
Today marks World International Mother Language Day to promote awareness of linguistic and cultural diversity among countries. Although Sri Lanka recognizes Sinhalese and Tamil as its national languages, our cameras captured name boards containing other languages in the country's capital. Although politicians voiced their concerns in the event of omitting any of the 2 national languages on name boards, their silence towards these banners remains a mystery.
A US venture capitalist and political fundraiser, Imad Zubairi, has been sentenced to 144 months in US federal prison for falsifying records to conceal his work as a foreign agent while lobbying high-level US government officials. The Sri Lankan government in 2014 has used the services of this person to rehabilitate the country's image in the United States.
Zubairi has also been charged with evading the payment of millions of dollars in taxes, making illegal campaign contributions, and obstructing a federal investigation into the source of donations to a presidential inauguration committee. Imad Shah Zubairi of Arcadia, California, was sentenced by U.S. District Judge Virginia A. Phillips, who also ordered him to pay $15,705,080 US in restitution and a criminal fine of $1.75 million US. With regard to Sri Lanka, as reported by Newsfirst in 2014, Zubairi promised to make substantial expenditures on lobbying efforts, legal expenses and media buys, which prompted Sri Lanka to agree to pay Zubairi a total of $8.5 million over 6 months in the same year. The US Justice Department noted that days after Sri Lanka made an initial payment of $3.5 million US, Zubairi transferred $1.6 million US into his brokerage accounts and used another $1.5 million US to purchase real estate. In total, Sri Lanka wired $6.5 million US under the contract, and Zubairi used more than $5.65 million US of that money to the benefit of himself and his wife. Zubairi paid less than $850,000 US to lobbyists, public relations firms and law firms, and refused to pay certain subcontractors based on false claims that Sri Lanka had not provided sufficient funds to pay invoices. Relatedly, Zubairi failed to report on his 2014 tax return millions of dollars in income he received from the Sri Lankan government.
With that, we cross over to a commercial break. We will be back with more news. Welcome back to the news. Various views are being expressed on the President's appointment of a committee to study the Presidential Commission's report on the April 21st attacks and the Sectoral Oversight Committee's report on national security. Meanwhile, the committee appointed to study the report of the Presidential Commission that probed the 2019 April 21st attacks is scheduled to meet tomorrow at 3 p.m. This will be the committee's inaugural sitting.
Committee Secretary Harigupta Rohanadira had told a local newspaper that all Commission recommendations would be studied and implemented in line with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's instructions. However, he pointed out that there could be practical issues in implementing certain recommendations as they could violate the country's laws. This is illegal. That is because the Attorney General can file cases based on the report of a Presidential Commission. By appointing this committee, they are trying to study the Presidential Commission's report and then remove any recommendation directed towards the government. They say that some recommendations might be unlawful and may even pose a threat to national security. I wish to remind him that the Presidential Secretariat does not have the right to peruse these documents. When recording certain evidences, those present at the Commission were ordered to leave the room. The evidence provided by the wife of Zahran directly points fingers at the government. At the same time, the individual identified as Sara is in India. She knows all matters surrounding the attacks. Why aren't steps being taken to bring her down to Sri Lanka? They are trying to conceal evidence. That is very clear.
දේශපාලනයක් පද්දනේ පත් කරන්නේ මේකේ සාක්ෂි හංගන්න. ඉතාමත් පැහැදිලි.
මේක ඇත්තටම මේ වැරදි ප්‍රකාශයක්. එහෙම ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ උපදෙස්.
That is a wrong statement. The Presidential Commission does not submit a report to act according to the instructions of the President. Therefore, we are urging the government to send the report to the Attorney General's department swiftly. Table this in Parliament. A suspicion has arisen on whether they are trying to cover up Pulastini Rajendran's involvement in the incident. They must not consider this situation lightly as it resulted in the loss of several lives. Who were the individuals behind these attacks? Who provided them with the required resources and information? Who is trying to protect Sara? These matters may have been included in the report. Therefore, we are suspicious as to whether this committee had been appointed to conceal these facts.
ප්‍රශ්නය අද අපිට පැන නැගිලා තිබෙනවා.
මේ ප්‍රහාරය වළක්වා ගත හැකිව තිබියදී වළක්වා
Who failed to prevent the attacks from taking place, although it could have been done? That is one area that needs to be uncovered. There is another crucial aspect. Who are the individuals who are behind these bombings? On whose whims and fancies did they act? The commission held sittings for 18 months. Based on media reports, we wish to question whether this is a personal problem of the president and his family. If that is the case, then we don't need to know the contents of this report. But this is a problem concerning national security. Whose money did they spend for this entity? It was the funds of the public. Therefore, the people of this country have the right to know the contents of this report, but they are not releasing the report. I asked for it in Parliament on 2 occasions. I requested for it during the recent party leaders meeting as well, but they are not providing it. A few days ago, they appointed a committee to study the recommendations of the report prepared by the commission comprising senior judges. Who is in this committee? They are people in the likes of Rohita Begunawardana, Johnston Fernando and Prasanna Ranatunga. They have been appointed to review this report. I saw someone had commented saying that these individuals are capable of losing these reports. They are capable of removing certain sections of the report. This shows that the government has an intention to conceal the perpetrators and the masterminds behind the attacks. This is similar to trap guns that are made in villages in a discreet manner. Although the police officer is able to recover the trap gun, it is difficult to find the person who created it. But the police officer will be able to catch the suspect by monitoring the individuals who go for hunting. Who was harping on the April 21st attacks during the last 1.5 years? We all know who used the April 21st attacks during their entire election campaign and their political activities as well.
නේද පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරයේ දඩේම කරේ තියන්ගේ කවුද කියලා අපි කවුරුත් දන්නවා.
The Minister of Environment says the subject minister, Mahinda Amaraveera, has called for a report on a matter regarding a request made by area residents to develop a road situated in the Rumasala mountain.
According to the communique issued by the Ministry of Environment, Minister Mahinda Amaraveera has notified the ministry to refrain from granting approval to the Central Environmental Authority for the proposed construction, disrupting the Rumasala ecosystem, and to promptly present him with an environmental feasibility report on the project. However, the statement does not include specific information regarding the roadway. Environmentalists point out plans have been drawn to construct a tarmac road 20 feet in width stretching from Yaddehimulla to Pilla Junction in Rumasala. They further warn a section of about 200 meters between the Gulhena stream and the Pilla Junction will be affected due to the proposed construction, claiming that the area consists of a highly sensitive ecosystem. Our correspondent said flora in the area had been uprooted already.
As of now, the Surveyors Department has measured the road and has been included in the map. It has been done following a request made by the Pradesh Sabha from the Divisional Secretariat. On the one hand, this is a sanctuary and on the other hand, it is a preserved location. Rulers and their aides who are greedy for wealth are taking over these ecosystems. This has turned into a hunting ground. Has constructed a hotel here. This is good. It creates jobs and contributes to our economy. But we cannot allow Rumasala to fall prey to it. We cannot condone these acts, especially if Rumasala is being destroyed and its ecosystem is harmed. Buildings and roads can be constructed, but another Rumasala cannot be.
On to a story that we promised that we would air. A protest was held against selling away a land in the Dulapiti area in Gampaha. The protesters alleged that this will negatively impact natural water bodies in the area.
The protesters alleged that there is an attempt to sell this land located in Kadavala, Dulapitiya, disregarding the Dulapitiya Pradesh Sabha's recommendations. The House rejected the request made on this matter because of this water issue. She then obtained a license to develop this land for agricultural purposes, and using this license as a cover, she has sold this land by dividing it to 12.5 portions. This shrewd move misleads both the Dulapitiya Pradesh Sabha and the residents of the area. However, further investigations reveal that this estate is privately owned. The estate owner alleges that the member of the Dulapitiya Pradesh Sabha who organized this protest is influencing her to sell the land to him for a lower price. Despite being in possession of the entire call recording, Newsfirst has decided to censor a portion of the recording as it contains profanity. However, Newsfirst cannot independently verify the identity of the speaker in the voice recording.
Saman Nishanka, the adjoining neighbor of this land, always stirs up trouble. He is always trying to loot this land from us. He is pressuring the Pradesh Sabha using his political power to deny the approval. As the private owner of this land, it is my right to sell it on my wish, following the Pradesh Sabha's criteria. If they tell that the water resources are draining by this, I need an expert opinion as proof for their allegations.